22-0004 Lake Stone Estates, and we've had a couple public hearings on this, other discussions. So would you like to go first?
Sure. Assuming we're both in agreement on this, then I know we can conclude this. But this subdivision to me was an unusual situation because normally the surrounding community is usually against new development, and but this time the community was very welcoming of the idea of having prospective new neighbors. The main issue, surprisingly enough, against this new subdivision was not with more density, but rather a road through it for emergency vehicles. So because of this community feedback, the BOCC attempted to address the issue by kicking it back to the Highway District to approve a gate for emergency access. In hindsight, it probably was not the most feasible option given that there is judiciary precedent against such gates on roads. Consequently, the Highway District opted for a compromise to make the road one-way and return the subdivision back to the BOCC for a decision. The community did not agree, and as such, the community sought for the BOCC to remain steadfast in requiring a gate. Unfortunately, the problem now is that people don't like the rules that apply here. The developer followed all the rules, even when it caused significant delays. And further, the rules established that there were plans for a throughway from that neighborhood to the proposed subdivision, and after decades, that was becoming a reality. While I agree that there should be a throughway for both emergency vehicles and a second way for residents to egress, especially when you look at the significant fire hazards associated with this area, I believe it does not have to be a convenient way for people to drive through that part of the neighborhood. There are options that could perhaps be explored with the Highway District, like reducing the width of the road and adding multiple speed bumps that could discourage additional traffic on that new road. To understand how such a throughway can affect a neighborhood, one only needs to look at Walnut Street between Highway 95 and Government Way. The number of signs people put out on the street to drive slower, the amount of speed enforcement there gives just about anyone an idea of how challenging these situations can be for residents. The reality, though, is that the BOCC cannot arbitrarily change or go against established rules because the community doesn't like them. And I believe that would ultimately create a precedent that could be detrimental to the community, but also lead to costly litigation the county would have a high likelihood of losing. Instead, the community needs to focus on changing the rules, I believe. And fortunately, the state has provided a mechanism for that to occur. And as elected officials, it is our duty, I believe, to listen to the community and ensure that the current rules are a reflection of the sentiment of the community. This is something I'm looking forward to working on in the coming months. Additionally, and according to feedback from the community, there is a remedy to address elected officials who are not willing to listen, and that is to replace the tone-deaf ones in the next election. So the BOCC heard the community and attempted to address its concern about the road within the confines of the rules. And we cannot arbitrarily change them, so consequently I support approving this subdivision and respectfully request that the developer work with the Highway District for approval on other ideas that could discourage additional traffic from the existing neighborhood through the new subdivision. That's where I'm at.
All right. Highway districts have authority in matters under their jurisdiction, and the districts are separate taxing entities within the county with elected commissioners. For the BOCC to overrule their requirements would be to shut down the project completely. It's like ignoring the fire department requests and subdivision applications. The highway districts are subject matter experts, and their commissioners can be recalled or voted out at the next election. The Lakes Highway District has not given the BOCC the choice to require a gate. The matter before me, has this subdivision met the requirements to be approved? The matter is not the demands of the neighborhood. When a subdivision or other land use is allowed by right in the zone, it should be approved. For a minute, consider conditional use permits. The CUP request is not allowed by right, but by conditions. In the CUP case, the neighbor's comments are weighted strongly, yet differently than in a use by right application. So does the applicant's subdivision request align with Idaho and U.S. constitutions? Yes. Does it limit government overreach? Yes. Does it comply with state statute? Yes. Does it honor the right of the property owner to exercise his right to life, liberty, and property? Yes. One should be particularly careful when applying rights to individuals versus the greater good or the masses. We live in a constitutional republic, not a democracy. If the issue is allowed by law, then it should be granted based on all the circumstances in that law, in this case, the Land Use and Development Code. A democracy or mob rule is where the majority is given deference over the rule of law. Public safety will be enhanced according to first responding agencies with the one-way street due to the access granted to first responders in the event of fire or other dire emergencies. I hear and recognize the fear that the people have of losing their lifestyles if this one-way road is approved. In the almost 5 years I have been making land use decisions, I cannot recall one approval where the fear expressed in the meetings has come true. If residents want to challenge this decision, I recommend waiting until a year after all the lots have been occupied to see really what the effect will be. So I would also echo Commissioner Matari on working with the applicant, working with the highway districts to see if there's some other ability to discourage maybe that traffic. But once again, the people south of the development are the ones who are having problems with it, so they don't have to use it. So they can continue using what they have already established as their pattern. So is there a motion?
I move that we approve MSP 22-0004 Lakestone Estates.
Second.
Commissioner Matari?
Aye.
Chair Duncan?
Aye. All right, MSP 22-0004 Lakestone Estates has been approved. And we have no business meetings. Vlad?
You could clarify the motion. I'm sorry. Your motion, you're striking the gate requirement. Are you opposing the one-way street, or you're leaving that option on the table?
I think the option was to have the one-way, which is what the highway district had said was what was needed to be approved on their end. And so we're approving it with that condition.
And Chair Duncan, do you concur?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
so that just for clarification. Yeah, no gate, but with the one way that the highway district.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that.
Yep. All right, no business items. 9:24, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioners.